Robinson has responded to your question with an expletive laden series of tweets and attacks on you personally. Do you worry that you're getting into something that's going to be quite nasty, a fight that's going to be very difficult?
Look, I stood up for my values today. I don't like seeing racism in our society. I don't like seeing far-right extremists causing violence on our streets.
We have weak cowards. Our government have recognised a terrorist state, and that government are not elected on a mandate. They are elected with 20% of the public vote.
The unified voice of the unholy alliance screams and shouts in our face, both online and at street level, calling us racists, fascists and Nazis. We didn't want or start this war, and it has now been made clear to us that the Islamists and the communists want to wipe us out.
Britain is facing a holy war in the next decade as Liberals allow Islam to take over our biggest cities, putting our future as a Christian country under serious threat. But a decision has been made by the deep state and by the elite class to pretend this isn't happening. And when someone points it out, they will deride them as a far-right racist. And if they become too powerful, they will simply designate them an enemy, then a criminal, and eventually, as we're currently seeing with Tommy Robinson, a terrorist. The mainstream media has always played along, and that's why we now have two versions of the United Kingdom. Those who watch the independent media and shows like this, who understand the Unite the Kingdom activist is a patriot like you or me, fighting to the death to save our dying nation. Then we have the others, who rely on the British bashing corporation, woke ITV, and Sly News, which ignore the threat of Muslims and constantly lie about a non-existent far right. Their heroes are women like this.
But it is not just the Chinese government that is a threat to our country. On Monday, the far-right, racist hate preacher Tommy Robinson, who is currently on trial for allegedly refusing to comply with counter-terror police, claimed that his legal costs are being paid by Elon Musk. It is outrageous that a man who has so much control over what people read online every day could be funding someone who stokes far-right extremism on our streets. If this was Putin, the government surely would act. So will the Prime Minister commission the security services to assess the threat that Elon Musk poses to our democracy and recommend measures to this House that we can take to stop it?
Well, I can tell her we do look across the board at threats to our democracy and must continue to do so. I won't comment on the particular case given the state of legal proceedings.
Now, Ms. Cooper was protected there by parliamentary privilege, of course, but she stupidly then went on LBC and repeated her slanderous libel.
Tommy Robinson has responded to your question with an expletive laden series of tweets and attacks on you personally. Do you worry that you're getting into something that's going to be quite nasty, a fight that's going to be very difficult?
Look, I stood up for my values today. I don't like seeing racism in our society. I don't like seeing far-right extremists causing violence on our streets. And those are things that I wanted to speak up for. I'm elected to do that, elected on that platform. And I'm encouraged by the messages of support that I've received from MPs of all political parties and from people from various groups that campaign against racism, who have said that they felt that today I said something that they considered to be brave and courageous. And quite frankly, I think we need to see more bravery and courage in our politics.
Now, Tommy responded to that, writing on X, calling out this lying, slandering piece of shit for who she is. Politicians think they can be above contempt. They are not. Contempt in this case is fully justified, deserved even. Politicians think they can lie and slander someone using their parliamentary privilege and get away with it. Newsflash, they can't. Politicians think they can cry victim after instigating very mild pushback from a working class lad. I don't give a shit about you. You're a cry bully and filthy smear merchant. Ask why Daisy, the deputy leader of the Lib Dems, has not posted about grooming gangs operating in the UK, except for when Elon Musk brings attention to it. And rather than post about this stain on our nation, she opts to criticise Elon for daring to speak out, accusing him of wanting attention off the back of child sexual exploitation. What a filthy piece of shit she is. Her values have led to the industrialised rape and enslavement of generations of British children. But I can tell it is the racist claim that has upset Tommy Robinson the most. So he asked Grok for the truth. This was the reply. After searching Tommy Robinson's posts for racist content via web queries, none appear. His critiques focus on Islamist ideology, grooming gangs, and migration's cultural effects, not racial inferiority. He often highlights anti-white racism or hypocrisy in accusations against him. Specific examples of prejudice based on race rather than behaviour remain elusive despite frequent media claims. He sent that to Daisy Cooper and added anything to say, "You filthy smear merchant." Now, it's important we're honest about what is happening here, and I think Bruce Unfiltered summed it up very well by writing, "Let's be clear. What Daisy Cooper said in Parliament is dangerous. She effectively implied Tommy Robinson shouldn't be allowed a legal defence unless it's government approved. That's authoritarianism in a nutshell. Under UK law, every person has the right to a fair trial and to appoint or receive legal assistance from whoever they choose. Nothing in the Legal Aid, Sentencing and Punishment of Offenders Act 2012, the Legal Services Act 2007, or the Proceeds of Crime Act 2002 gives the government any power to restrict who can fund your defence, unless that money comes from criminal activity. Elon Musk hasn't broken a single law. But Daisy Cooper's words break with the very foundation of British justice, equality before the law. Indeed, Bruce believes the entire terror trial of Tommy Robinson is a chilling development for a country where our democracy is now online.
Whether you like him or not, this one should set alarm bells ringing, because this isn't really about Tommy Robinson at all. It's about what happens when the state decides who it wants to target. When the state starts using counter-terrorism powers on people it politically disagrees with, that is outright authoritarianism. And if it can happen to one person, regardless of your opinion of them, it can happen to absolutely anybody. But I think we've already seen some cases of this. The prosecution claimed the stop wasn't about his views, but his supposed far-right associations. Yet they didn't name a single individual, and funnier enough, in today's climate, that could have been any one of 20 million people. Because once you give the state the power to decide who's extreme, who's dangerous, or who deserves scrutiny, it is only a matter of time before that label lands on ordinary people who simply disagree. The case has been adjourned until November the 4th, when the verdict will be handed down. And let's be honest, the outcome will tell us a lot about where Britain really stands on liberty in 2025. This isn't about defending one man, it's about defending the principle that no government should have the power to criminalise opinion.
Now, remember, outside of the UK, Tommy is viewed very differently. I mean, overnight, he's just been given a hero's welcome in Israel, where he is on a state visit as a guest of a sound Israeli minister. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address and sign up today.
Shalom.
How are you feeling?
I'm happy to be here, mate. I'm honoured to be here.
What are you hoping from this trip?
I'm hoping to show solidarity with real strong leadership. I wish our country had a leader like Netanyahu. We have weak cowards. Our government have recognised a terrorist state, and that government are not elected on a mandate. They are elected with 20% of the public vote. So I don't want people in Israel to think that the other 80% of people, not even the majority of Labour support them, support recognising a terrorist state. So I'm here to show solidarity with the Jewish people and the Israeli people for a strong and hopefully form good friendships and understand, because Israel is surrounded by jihad. Britain is going to be surrounded by jihad. Yeah? The problems that Israel faces here are the same problems that we're going to face. So the security issues that Israel has and Jews have in the state of Israel, we're all going to face in Europe.
Sheer numbers.
Because you hear the numbers, don't you? But when you see that and you see an individual face, and you think about an individual family, and you think about the individual children or the mum and dad, and you see the scale of that, and then you know the size of Israel, you know that every single person must have known someone that was directly affected as a family, as a community, by this attack. And then you see so many, like, as you walk around, you see the elderly, you see the young, the beautiful young women, all of them, they're not out fighting the war. None of these people, look. So you see that, and it just brings it home.
Now, I would argue that's a humanitarian, not a racist hate preacher. There was a time, you might remember it, many moons ago, before the MSM stopped platforming people like myself, Katie Hopkins and Tommy Robinson, where he was allowed to speak openly on the state broadcaster, the British Bashing Corporation, to the chief interrogator, Jeremy Paxman, no less, and explain his journey and explain how he wasn't a racist. Now, given lots of people are waking up to what's going on at the moment and giving Days and Koopies smears, I actually think it's worth you seeing quite a bit of what Tommy Robinson said back then.
I had a long time to think about where I was going. I know it seems strange to say it, but where I was going, where the movement was going and what I want. And then when I come out of prison, I see the organisation, elements of the organisation, fringe elements that were on the outskirts, had been welcomed back. I'd battled for 4 years to keep racists, Nazis, extremists out of this movement. I battled and dedicated my life to it. And they were invited back. And I felt let down by the people that in the organisation that were in positions, the same people that are calling me a traitor now, that were in positions, invited Nazis to stand with them in the street. Now, I am the public face. It's my face that is up for this. I have to be true to myself. I despise Nazis. I despise racism. I'm not about to be the public face. And that was one thing. I'd made that decision. I hadn't left, and then Lee Rigby was killed.
What was the EDL? What is the EDL if it's not racist?
It's not racist. You see, this is what I want to say. I want to say a personal thank you to supporters of the English Defence League, because it's become my life, and I've grown to love many people in that movement. I see this as a massive step forward in the fight against Islamic extremism and the far-right extremism. The English Defence League is a collective group of ordinary people. The majority of people in that movement are ordinary people with heartfelt concerns, and they've been branded racist. I've been branded racist for 4.5, 5 years. Everyone's called me a racist and extremist.
Yeah, but you did say there should be no more mosques built in Britain unless Islam reformed.
Yeah.
Correct?
No, I said there should be no more mosques unless they're moderated and regulated in a way like schools are with Ofsted. I said I believe we need to know who's funding them. We need to know which preachers of hate are speaking in them if they are, and we need British-born Muslims in control of those mosques. Now, what's coming out of this is everyone's saying the English Defence League has been taken over by Nazis. That's not actually the case. Well, the point is that the first demonstration I didn't go to, Manchester, they were welcomed back. There was a recent demonstration in Portsmouth where splinter groups, which I've fought to keep out of it, actually give speeches. So for me, this is all about, for me, is being the public face. We've done this for 4 years. We've raised the profile. I think the English Defence League has been very successful in bringing things to the forefront.
Sure.
I now think it's at a point...
Have you changed your views?
My views, I think I want people to listen to my views, because what people portray my views and believe my views would be is not what they are. I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate Muslims at all. I have a...
Why do you want to stop mosques being built?
Unless they're moderated and regulated, because I believe there's a problem. And every time we see an undercover documentary, we see problems, and then it's like they say, oh, that's not Islam, and it's not representative. But there is a problem. But for me, this leaving is about, we're 4 years in. I see this as a step forward. I see this as an inevitable progression into what we were doing, and I don't see it beneficial to continue doing what we were doing.
Do you still think this country's in danger?
I know this country's in danger. I've just sat in there and watched the news and seen that we've got 2,000 British people out fighting out for Al-Shabaab. This country is in danger. Let's not pretend the biggest threat to this country is Islamist terrorism, extremism. At the same time, I despised far-right extremism. I've battled through this organisation to be true and to steer it in what me and my cousin Kevin have built it on. And we've built it on inclusive and welcoming everybody.
Sure, but you haven't changed your views.
No, basically, no one's listened to what I've said for 4.5 years, because our message has been lost in translation because of the actions of a minority. And that's...
I just thought that was really important for you to hear today. And isn't it fascinating how much the state broadcaster has changed in just a decade, a conversation that they would never allow us to hear today? And by the way, I couldn't believe this. Its presenters have been revealed as hard left extremists, right? because the moment they leave the corporation, they show their true colours. We've seen it with Emily Maitlis, we've seen it with Lewis Goodall and John Sopel, and now we're seeing it with the ex-flagship BBC News presenter. She fronted their election, she fronted the Today programme, Mishal Husain, a Muslim who has bizarrely used her first public intervention as a campaigner for Islam to defend, wait for it, the ISIS bride, Shamima Begum. She said the media treated Begum poorly because she was a Muslim, rather than because she was a terrorist traitor unconcerned by beheadings. Watch.
Nearly 6 years ago, the chair of the press regulator Ipsos said, after 5 years in the role, that he thought Muslims were on occasion written about in the newspapers in ways Jews or Catholics would not be. And I'll share an example here of someone for whom I think it is worth asking the question, would she have been perceived exactly the same way if she'd had a different name, had not been Muslim? This story goes back to 2015 and 3 school friends leaving their homes in London, travelling through Turkey to join Islamic State, a proscribed terror group in Syria. It was soon after the murders of hostages, including journalists James Foley and Stephen Sotloff, aid workers Peter Kassig and David Haynes, and Alan Henning, a Salford taxi driver who was on his 4th trip delivering supplies to Syria when he was abducted by IS. Shamima Begum, one of the 3, was 15 at the time. 4 years later, The Times found her and interviewed her in a camp in Syria. She was 9 months pregnant, about to give birth to a 3rd child, her older 2 having died as babies through illness and malnutrition. The callousness of her words in that interview, including her saying she'd been unmoved by the sight of a captured fighter's severed head in a bin, prompted widespread revulsion. Amid the scramble to get the first TV interview, both Sky and the BBC reached her. One broadcaster said their correspondent had tracked down the IS bride in a hospital just hours after she gave birth. The other recorded their interview when her son was 3 days old, the distinctive cry of a newborn audible off camera as she spoke.
Okay, I'm genuinely astonished. And all her champagne socialists, filled with suicidal empathy, no doubt sat there nodding along. This is batshit crazy, but there's more.
When I watched these interviews, I saw something that appeared to go entirely unnoticed in editorial decision-making or was regarded as unimportant. I saw a teenage mother only just postpartum. I thought of my own experience, giving birth in NHS hospitals to 3 healthy babies, with family members helping out. I know I was in no fit state to give any interview in the weeks, let alone the days after those births, and certainly not an interview of consequence to the rest of my life, conducted without advice, representation, or even access to information. The teenager said it herself in one interview. I don't have my phone. I can't go on the internet. I don't know what's going on around me right now. I found these interviews very hard to reconcile with a sense of duty of care, assessing whether an interviewee is in a position to give informed consent or in a position where they can speak freely. Shamima Begum was still living among IS women. It was rare to see any focus in reporting of how she was under 16, legally a child, when she made the worst decision of her life, which, to be clear, was also criminal, because IS is a designated terror organisation.
Oh, so I'm glad you got that in there at the end, Mishal Husain. How utterly bizarre. How utterly crazy. That the BBC's former flagship presenter goes on stage for her first major speech, pushing the Islam message and says, you know what, we've got to rehabilitate Shamima Begum. And let me tell you, when was the last time that there was a Catholic 15-year-old suicide bomber who went over to join one of our enemies? Let me tell you, that would be a big story, okay? But the suicidal empathy of an idiot like Mishal Husain, a dangerous idiot like Mishal Husain, proves that the MSM have an agenda. Their agenda is to cover up the serious threat that Islam, including the terrorists invading our country on a daily basis, pose to ordinary Brits. Yet the litany of evidence about what we are facing, it piles up every day. Like, why is Rhiannon White? Rhiannon White, who was allegedly killed last October by a migrant at the Asylum Hotel where she worked, who is currently on trial, why is she not a household name when you listen to the horror of her case, which is currently being outlined to court?
Asylum seeker laughed and danced after stabbing a worker in his migrant hotel to death, a court has heard. They were shown CCTV of Rhiannon White leaving the hotel to catch a train before a masked man is spotted following behind her. Prosecutors claim this man is Deng Chol Majek, a Sudanese asylum seeker from the hotel in Walsall. 2 minutes later, after Rhiannon was stabbed over 20 times with a screwdriver, the man re-emerges on the bridge holding a phone. Ms. White was on a call to a friend when the attack happened, and the jury was told Majek took the phone from her and threw it in a river. Majek, who claims to be 19, then allegedly returned to the hotel where he was seen laughing and dancing in excitement at what he had done. Majek has pleaded not guilty and the trial continues.
An illegal who shouldn't have been here. Why aren't politicians like Daisy Cooper speaking about him? Speaking about Rhiannon? Or how about speaking about the migrants trying to kidnap teenagers in broad daylight?
Moment, two men tried to kidnap a teenager from a busy city centre street in broad daylight. Muhammad Ali, aged 49, and his son Luqman Ali, 20, attempted to bundle the teen into a vehicle in central Birmingham. The 15-year-old girl can be seen walking along the street before being approached by two men. She is grabbed by the arms and the men try to bundle her into the back seat of a parked white Dacia. Bravely fighting back, the girl wrestles with the men for a moment on the pavement in a desperate bid to escape. As the men make to drive off, members of the public come over to intervene. The group try to stop the men from driving away with the terrified teen, gathering around the vehicle. The heroic members of the public then form a human barricade in front of the car, forcing it to stay put, and saving the girl from the kidnappers before she manages to escape and run to a nearby shop for help. The two suspects were quickly arrested at the scene for their role in the petrifying incident. Specialist officers are speaking to the girl and offering her support in the wake of the harrowing ordeal. Both Mohammed and Luqman are charged with kidnapping. Mohammed is also accused of false imprisonment and assault, and have been remanded into custody.
Now, let's just not talk about that, right? And when the police do try and step in to patrol the bad behaviour of these communities, these Muslim communities, this is the response they get.
NSL, Wolverhampton.
NSL,
yeah,
Wolverhampton.
315.
Okay, so they told you to come here during the prayer times,
I'm
right?
I'm coming here by myself.
Oh, by yourself. Oh, so is it you who hating Muslims prayers time, right? Do you have some problem with my religion? What are you doing here just at this time, praying time?
Yellow lines, yellow lines.
Yeah, I understand it, but why are you not here every day?
Because if you come down, we get abused every day like you do.
No, I'm not abusing you.
You are, you got a camera
I'm
out.
not abusing. Am I abusing him? Hello, brothers. Am I abusing him?
I was having abuse.
I'm talking to you. I don't abuse. Why would I abuse? I think you're taking advantage of Muslims praying in the mosque and giving them tickets, where every day when we're having here arguments, fights, you're not coming, you're always abandoning this area, and now when the praying time...
And then you get to the disgrace of migrant hotels, like in Highfield House Hotel in Southampton, where Turning Point UK has acquired footage of illegals attacking each other and trying to smash windows. None of them should be here. There was an equally disturbing report on Talk TV. But first, the #1 worst fruit for your waistline. Look, are you turning healthy fruits into highly unhealthy fruits without even realizing it? Fruit can be one of the healthiest things you can put into your body. But the majority of Americans are guilty of making this single mistake that can counteract all of the health benefits of fruit. Some fruits can help with occasional constipation, reduce bloating, and even help burn calories. Others can wreak havoc on your digestive system and energy levels. Now, I came across this viral presentation from world-renowned heart surgeon Dr. Stephen Gundry that showcases the 3 fruits to stop eating today. It was shocking. I had no idea. And after finding it out, I've stopped eating these 2. I'm going to put a link for you all to watch it because I want you all to gain this information. I think it's truly important, actually. You can go watch it right now at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. That's thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. I've also linked it in the description box below this video too, or if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you can just click on the QR code on screen or hold up your phone, to the QR code. You know how it works. Oh, and by the way, eliminating these fruits could forever change the way we help increase energy levels, decrease brain fog, support digestion, and even lose weight. So make sure to click on the link below or go to thehealthyfat.com/outspoken to find out now. Dr. Gundry has lost 70 pounds himself using his research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years and counting. His digestive issues are gone. His health is fantastic. He feels younger today than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date. You can watch and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. Just click on the link in the description box below this video. But now, back to the show.
He was a Mauritanian asylum seeker. And why did he do this? Because he didn't like his room. He didn't like this hotel and he wanted to be moved. So because he got frustrated and found that the process was taking too long, this was his method of speeding up the process. Coating this rather nice 4-star hotel room in green paint. We also have pictures, thanks to you, Isabel, of other rooms. Another room where 2 migrants apparently had a fight about drugs. And when you see this room, there it is. Look at the state of these rooms. This is a nice hotel, by the way, or at least it used to be. Now, on the floor there, if you we may get a close-up in a minute, but the carpet there, covered in blood. Absolute detritus everywhere. Look at the mess of it. Apparently, this was where 2 migrants, asylum seekers, had got into an extremely violent fight over drugs, which is a story in itself, really. But look at the state of this. So, Isabel, you brought these pictures in. This is through a contact of yours. Well, your thoughts on what we're looking at here?
Well, when I received these pictures this morning, I was just shocked. I mean, some will say, why be surprised? But this is how certain asylum seekers repay the generosity of the British taxpayer.
And all this does is add to the fury that we are paying for people who hate us, for people who want to destroy us, to live in luxury accommodation. Including, by the way, and this is real, this is not a spoof, this beautiful 16th century manor house, which Basil the Great has described as the poshest migrant hotel in the world. Watch.
Welcome to the Madeley Court Hotel. Need a backup. He needs backup. Someone's backup. He needs backup. Here. Look at this architecture. Hey.
Hi, what's up, mate?
Come to film this building.
Film?
Yeah.
What film?
This building.
building.
Doing a documentary on the housing crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. We are big problem, bro. My wife is pregnant.
Yeah.
And not take appointment in doctor.
You can't get appointment.
2 week going in her speaking. My wife problem and not.
What
go.
country are you from?
Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay. You staying in here then?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 months I'm living here.
4 months.
And
when the housing office come, is it? Look at this. Housing office. Housing information in Arabic.
So this is the private property. You're not allowed to come here.
I'm not allowed to come here?
No. Yeah.
Bit ironic though, isn't
This
it?
is not wrong. You're trespassing.
I'm trespassing?
Yeah.
Do you not think that's a bit ironic? Look at that. We are told we are trespassing when we come to these places. People have entered the country illegally with no documentation. They're placed in here. And some of them are not even war-torn countries. So who are we kidding? Are we doing a training day, guys? Big training day?
No, as I said to your colleague, mate, we had a report that there's a protest, and that's why we've come down here in these numbers. Ultimately, that's the only reason why we're here in numbers.
Okay. We're not protesters.
So other officers have come from different directions.
We got any more on the way?
I don't know, mate. I don't believe so, but yeah, that's why we've come out in force. And all right.
All right. Mental.
Yeah, I think they said there was 10. So.
Yeah, he said there was 10 protesters at the borderline. This is what your taxes are paying for.
Isn't that utterly astonishing? You get mugged, you get your house broken into, you get assaulted. The police are not going to show for you. No way. But if someone, citizen journalist, just walks inside a migrant hotel, which we are paying for, by the way, 10 police turn up to shut it down. There is a conspiracy of silence to try and stop us understanding where these migrants are being housed. Meanwhile, the response from Labour is total arrogance. Look at Lisa Nandy putting down men at pubs on the BBC.
We literally have. We
your
literally
government.
have. Can we just be very clear about this?
You carry on. Go on. Keep digging.
You've literally sent a trade delegation with Rachel Reeves to China within the last few months, and then you accuse us of not having a hard approach when we were the ones who charged these guys. We let them off.
Right, let's just talk about. Just calm down for a moment. Because
this is important. This is like the national security of our country.
I know, but you're literally just sitting on a sofa shouting like an angry man in a pub.
I don't think that's fair.
I don't think. Well,
I don't think it's true.
Okay, but can you stop doing that so that I can just answer the question? Because
I'm not doing that.
Yes, Lisa Nandy, there are lots of angry men up and down the country in pubs because of what you are doing to our country. You should listen to them rather than try and deride them. And what about Labour loser Neil Coyle being thrown out after a clash with Reform UK's Lee Anderson in Westminster?
I'm going to make some progress because I know there's a lot of people who want to speak in this very important debate. I've always took to intervention. This isn't a coincidence, and it is a classic case, I believe, of a mayor who could not care less. He would sooner spend his time calling everybody who disagrees with him. I've just said I'm not going to give way, Miss McVeigh. He would sooner spend his time calling everybody who disagrees with him a racist, rather than stopping these endless knife attacks on the streets of London.
I'll remind members that it's down to the Speaker to accept or not. Is it a point of order? Well, I'll listen to your point of order and then we'll decide if it was.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. The point of order, Chair, is that where members are all required to not mislead the House or accidentally mislead the House, there is an issue with some of the figures that have just been presented. And I just wonder whether you could encourage the member to either give the dates for the figures he was using, which show that they'll be out of date, or use the correct data which show that knife crime has fallen in the capital, something we should welcome together.
Yeah. It wasn't a point of order. Would you like to leave the Westminster Hall?
When we're done, yeah.
I'd actually ask you now to leave. Thank you.
Wow, brilliant. Okay,
Thank you. And it wasn't a point of order. It was a point of debate. There are at least 10 people who'd like to speak today, and you do have your chance to speak if you had, but I'm afraid your temper and your attitude doesn't actually belong in Westminster Hall. Lee Anderson.
Thank you, Ms McVeigh. It's not the first time the honourable member has been thrown out of a room on this estate.
So that's the arrogance of the pricks who are destroying our country. Now, ahead of what he believes will be a holy war, Nick Tenkoni, the leader of UKIP, is giving moderate Muslims the chance to take the right side, announcing, "I am calling on all moderate peaceful Muslims to join us on Saturday the 25th of October and to stand with us against Islamist extremism. My hand remains extended. This is your chance to separate from the Islamists and denounce the Islamic Caliphate. Watch."
We have a right to defend ourselves. I'm calling on all Christians, all patriots, and all concerned citizens. Whenever we stand up for ourselves, our values, our faith, and our way of life, the unified voice of the unholy alliance screams and shouts in our face, both online and at street level, calling us racists, fascists, and Nazis. We didn't want or start this war, and it has now been made clear to us that the Islamists and the communists want to wipe us out, and certainly we will be shown no mercy. I say we have a right to self-defence. On Saturday, the 25th of October, you must stand with us in Whitechapel. We reject the occupation of our towns and cities by the expansionist nature of Islamism, and Whitechapel is a prime example of Islamist occupation. It's not personal, citizens. They've tried it on, and now they're going to be met with resistance. The problem, patriots, is that their model is so aggressive and expansive in orientation, and I know that peaceful moderate Muslims would agree with me, the essence of radical Islam is colonialism. So I say all is fair in love and war. We, as patriots and Christians, say bring it on. Britain is a Christian land, and we will not stand for being colonised, which I will remind you hasn't happened by battle, strength and heart or military superiority. No, the Islamic Caliphate has been invited in by the liberal traitors in government to colonise Britain. Now, I have met many moderate peaceful Muslims who are not Islamists, and they have said, we get it. We stand against Islamic extremism and Islamism. My hand remains extended to peaceful moderate Muslims who denounce the Islamic Caliphate, and this is where we find out where we stand, patriots. I am calling on all the peaceful moderate Muslims to stand with us on Saturday the 25th of October in Whitechapel. If you stand against Islamism and Islamic extremism, as you say you do, then what's the problem? You should have absolutely no issue standing with us, and Muslims and Christians will unite in the fight against Islamist psychopaths and against the Islamic Caliphate. It is not enough to live in your cohorts and conclaves and stay silent when it comes to the Islamic Caliphate. It is not enough to sit silently when Islamist terror attacks happen. Now is the time to make your voices heard. By not publicly denouncing Islamism, then you willingly or unwillingly become the grass which the extremists sliver through. My hand is extended. Stand with us and join us on Saturday the 25th of October in Whitechapel, and together we will unite against Islamic extremism. Denounce the Islamic Caliphate.
Let's see how many show up. Now, the superstar panel. The brilliant Lee Harris of Addicted to News and Orla Minihane with me. Orla, I actually read your post on X in yesterday's digest because you are so furious about these migrant hotels and these HMOs, luxury accommodation. You say you feel sick with anger. This can no longer be tolerated. You said to Keir Starmer, you are literally breaking this country and its people. But look, even more examples today. And there's an arrogance about what they're doing, Orla. They don't give a damn. All they want to do is call you a far-right racist and move on.
Well, do you know what? I'm just going to move so you can get me properly in the camera. I am normally a very upbeat, very, glasses half full kind of person, Dan, but I'm getting to a point, much like many, many people, I think, where I am becoming absolutely enraged by what is happening in this country. If you look at that video, and AY Audits, who's a guy that's covered our Epping protests, went into this apartment block in Chelmsford in Essex, 98 apartments, and a guy was interviewed who seemed like a nice enough man, in fairness, but he'd come from Turkey, which is the second most visited tourist destination, holiday destination for Brits. So why is he coming here and looking for asylum? And I loathe the fact people say asylum seekers when they are not asylum seekers. Asylum seekers are people who are coming from seeking asylum because they are coming from war-torn countries. In a piece that you just showed a minute ago, the guy's coming from Georgia. Georgia, I've got friends who've been to Georgia for a weekend away because it's so beautiful. This is the ultimate piss take, excuse my language, of the British people. Now, that guy who was in that video took AY around to his apartment. Two guys lived in a brand new apartment. They both had an ensuite. What? It's just absolutely ludicrous. On the flip side, yesterday I got a phone call from a couple of ladies in Epping who told me about a woman who has got 6 children who was thrown out of her accommodation. She's 6 months pregnant and she had nowhere to go. She went to the council offices in Harlow and sat there all day. They put her in a Holiday Inn in Southend for one night and they're going to deport her back to Ireland, even though she's lived here. But because she's an Irish citizen, they're going to deport her with 6 children. Yet these men are coming over and going into hotels and staying for years.
Well, indeed. And this is why I now think this is purposeful. I honestly think it is purposeful. And it is part of this plot to import Islam here to the United Kingdom. There's just no other explanation for it. Because when you look at what they're doing to that woman, well, why? Why are they doing it? Because she's Christian and white, probably. Yeah. Lee, then you look at the BBC, okay, and their former flagship presenter, Mishal Husain, has decided to launch this campaign to try and rewrite history about Shamima Begum. And to me, it just completely shouts out about how out of touch our elite class really is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I just thought it was insanity. Well, I read the brief of what she said at this speech, and to me, it just instantly stunk of typical kind of leftist luxury beliefs and an identity politics mindset. You know, no belief in personal responsibility. She was making excuses for Shamima Begum. I found it grotesque in all its form, and it's just nonsense about what you're saying about is it because it's Muslim. ISIS is fundamentally based on an extreme version of Islamic scripture. Of course you can be Muslim if you're going to be joining ISIS, but to say that she was treated differently is ludicrous. I don't know if you all remember Jihadi Jack. Jihadi Jack was a British citizen who had dual citizenship with Canada, and the same thing happened to him. You know, I don't think it's got anything to do with it's to do with the act rather than the person. I don't think we're sort of singling someone out. And I did a bit of research on this actually. Between 2010 and 2022, the Home Office stripped 220 individuals of their citizenship on the ground that it was not, conducive to the public good. So this isn't a kind of isolated case. She was obviously, you know, it is the most famous case, but she's obviously just, like you said, completely detached from reality, completely lost touch with what how normal people view this case. I found it utterly grotesque, completely out of touch. It's ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous.
And then we get to Daisy Cooper, Orla Minihane, who said in Parliament that Tommy Robinson is a far-right racist hate preacher, compared Elon Musk to Vladimir Putin for funding his terror case. And again, you just think, my God, we're living in two Britons, aren't we?
We are. We're living in the twilight zone. This is a woman whose leader says that women can have a penis. Right. So, I mean, literally, that's all, you know, they're so, and you know what? I was saying to somebody yesterday, actually, the split between, I don't even think it's split between right and left. I think it's split between like insanity and normality. That's how it seems, because you can't keep calling people who are completely insane, who are off the wall, left. So many of them are completely insane. The delusional way that they look at what is happening in this country, I just can't fathom it. look, at the end of the day, you know, I think she called him, did she call him a hate preacher or a creature? I couldn't work out what she said.
It was preacher, but a lot of people thought she'd said creature, and actually both are sort of as bad as each other.
They are, but I mean, these, you know, what, and then Elon Musk, what's, you know, what, in the great scheme of things, when we look at what is happening in this country, all they can do is focus on Tommy Robinson. If it's not Tommy Robinson, it's Nigel Farage. That's it. Literally, the two people that they hate, that's all, everything that's happening is to do with them. Everything that's bad is to do with them. When normal people look at what is happening and think, everything that is going wrong in this country is either to do with liberal lefty champagne socialists or Labour screwing us to the ground, raising taxes, spending money on illegal invaders, putting us at risk, letting men wander around aimlessly and assaulting young girls and murdering them and doing God knows what else. It's like they just can't see the wood for the trees. And the whole country is screaming, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you saying? What are you thinking? And then the minute someone who says anything that everybody thinks, anything sensible or anything that they deem not in agreement with what they are preaching day in and day out, you're a far-right racist. Far-right racist. No one wants to speak to you. Far-right racist. There is no dialogue. There is we're demonised for having a different view to the people on the left. And the people on the left are destroying this country. Destroying it.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go wherever you are.